Hello Gemini, and this is your semi-biweekly reading, and this goes from the full moon on August 1st in Aquarius in tropical astrology to the 16th for the new moon in Leo. So this is for Gemini sun or rising signs. These are meant to be short and sweet readings, so if you are interested in a more extensive reading where you really kind of like pull a lot more cards, the monthly readings also just came out, so you can go check those out as well. I'll probably put that up on the screen somewhere. And also the astrological highlights video just came out for the first half of August. So that is a time-stamped video. So you can just go directly to certain dates or transits that you're interested in taking a look at. Definitely a couple that I would say are good for marking on the calendar for this first half of the month. So I'm just going to put that out there. So this time we are looking at from the full moon to the new moon, Gemini. This is the waning phase of the moon. So I know that that's kind of like basic knowledge that a lot of people kind of understand, but I think that like the return to basics and the return to the simplicity of working with that energy is something that we can kind of like forget that we have the opportunity to work with every single month, right? I'm just like feeling like I'm almost there to the card, but not quite. So we have this opportunity, despite the fact that we have a ton of other transits that are happening, of course, at all times during each of these phases of the moon. It's kind of like a constant, the way that we can count on the sun rising every day, we can count on every month, no matter what's happening, there is a waning phase, and we can work with the tide, right? Like we can work with it instead of against it. So this is more of a time where it's like wrapping up, finishing things off, releasing things, offloading, clearing out space, clearing out the cobwebs in the closet, going into like one room of the house and being like, okay, what is still useful here? What is like no longer of use? What is like totally been sitting there unused for years, right? That kind of energy. So what area of your life is coming into focus when we're talking about where you could stand to look at clearing out some space, doing some kind of release? So we're looking at the 10th house. This is the house of your public roles and your career, right? So also your reputation, right? But I would say probably more so we can say related to career, right? So that's what the 10th house is all about. It's about achieving, getting to that career spot, like in your pursuit of that and what that represents. So looking at the 10th house, looking at your career, maybe there are projects or certain things related to your career, content, depending on what it is that you do, that it's like you might need to scrap and say like, okay, that hasn't been working, or this process of running my business hasn't really been working for a while. I need to go back to the drawing board and rework this in some way. Like, I think sometimes we can like hold on tightly to certain things that we have already been putting a lot of time, energy, attention, and effort into for a period of time, and we're just like, no, I can't let this go because I've already come this far, and like it would just break me and break my heart to like let this go. So maybe it takes form in a new way, but just examining it from different perspectives right now, and that can look a lot of different ways with regard to career. So I'll leave it to you to know like what is probably coming up in that area that you can take a look at. But we are in the Venus retrograde for all of this month, and so we're looking at the period of time for the wax or the waning phase of the moon. This can be looking at reworking the values that you have, given that that's part of Venus's attributes, or also creative projects, because that's also a part of Venus's attributes, or the relationships that you have with people, in whether they're harmonious or in alignment with your values. So all of these things can really be looked at through the lens of the 10th house, right, in your career. What kind of spiritual advice are you getting to help you out with this? I like this card a lot. It's kind of like there are two choices that you have that come to mind for me with this, right? One is that, first of all, let's just say that the 9 of Wands is basically saying, hey, like you're not done with the quote unquote battles, right, of life, of this area of your life. There's more to go. There's more work to do. It's not really time to rest yet. So you're going to need that strength and endurance. And you are either going to be the kind of warrior that is able to bring the wisdom from your past battles into your next battles in life. Not to say that it needs to be a struggle, but just like as a metaphor, right? And so, and you can also be like, have the strength and endurance because you've been through so many different battles, you've been seasoned, and you have like built up the strength and endurance to be able to make it through. You know what it takes to do those things. And so bringing in that wisdom and that endurance and that strength on those levels. Or you can end up being on the side of like the weary, wounded warrior who's super depleted and exhausted and undernourished and has like exhausted all of their energetic resources on the front end and has left nothing in reserve, which is something that maybe a green warrior would do, like somebody who's like green, wet behind the ears kind of thing. You know, is that the saying? Wet behind the ears to indicate somebody who's like a newbie? I feel like that's the saying, but I feel like for some reason I'm getting that wrong. I don't remember at this moment. So either way, that kind of either or. And so part of what's coming up here is to pay attention to your health. And to like, this is a card which says your health needs tending to. Make sure that you're on top of it. You know, if you're trying to go for achieving and like hitting the highest peak, like you're trying to make it to the peak, to the pinnacle in your career and what you're building towards in your career, then obviously you're going to need stamina, right? You're going to need your strength. And if you're depleting yourself and burning candle at both ends, and you're just burning yourself out and completely exhausted, you're not going to have anything in reserve to keep going. So I feel like part of what you need to address here in terms of like what there is to let go of or make room with is, what are the things that are maybe depleting you, that are too much, that you might need to do some delegating? So it might mean a release in that way, or what kinds of maybe habits or things are, or health habits specifically, are a hindrance to you having the kind of health focus and like being rested and rejuvenated enough to be fresh, focused, and clear to be able to do the things that you need to do in your career sector, right? So I hope that was helpful. I hope it was clear. If it was, and this is insightful, please consider giving the video a like so that I find favor with the algorithm gods, and consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos on the horizon. I will have somewhere up here on the screen either the astrological highlights video or the monthly videos so that you can check out like in the larger context of what the month looks like, how this plays a part. So thank you for your time. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.